Okay, so we decided as topic for tonight how to free our mind. It's such a vast topic that it is difficult for me to really see how to start. Probably we can start from the fact that we can see our mind is not free. This is a constatation we can easily make. We can see that we are not free, even most of the time, to place our mind on what we want to place it. If we try to make a Shine meditation, we can see the difficulty. We can see the difficulty to place the mind on the object we have chosen and to keep it there. So after a few seconds, the mind is already going away, which clearly shows that our mind is not free to go where it wants to go and stay where it wants to stay. It is often disturbed. Now, if we also refer to our reality or how we define our reality and understanding of our reality, we know that all what we perceive is the result of past accumulated causes. Consequently, it is enclosed or it is locked into an illusion that we are usually not aware of, an illusion that we usually cannot perceive, we cannot see, we cannot really be aware of. So, from many points of view, we can see that the mind is not free. Within the samsara, nothing is free because everything is interdependent, is depending on past accumulated causes, is depending on our ignorance. This is the root of our illusion, the root of the illusory nature that we perceive. Because of that ignorance, we do not see the things as they are. We think that the nature of the reality we perceive is independent from us. This comes from a common misunderstanding about the law of causality. We tend to think that causality or karma is only how things are happening, how events are set to appear to us. But the real understanding of causality goes one step further and goes into the understanding that everything we perceive is karma. Everything we perceive with our 6 senses, 5 physical senses and the mental sense, comes from past accumulated causes. We have created the very fact of perceiving the wall in front of us. So that wall does not have any self-inherent existence. It exists because I have created a cause to perceive it. Without I having created that cause, I would not perceive it. So it is quite an extended understanding of karma, not the reduced common one. And when we understand how that causality works, we understand that we are really enclosed in our own illusion. We have created the causes for our own illusion. the good point and the important step is already to recognize that. Okay, so when we realize that, when we understand how far the causality works, it opens a door. It opens the door of understanding we can change that. If we would believe that all what we perceive is created by a higher consciousness or a God somewhere, then we cannot really change a lot. We can change how we react to it, we can change some things, of course, but we cannot change the outer phenomena, the outer reality. Understanding the law of causality probably shows us, indicates us that we can change everything. We can change everything from the moment we are eliminating our ignorance. So, when we are entering into the topic of how to free one's own mind, it is through the purification of past accumulated causes and mainly through the elimination of ignorance. The fundamental ignorance, not the fact of I don't know this text or I don't know that text, but the fundamental ignorance being not understanding correctly how the reality appears, not understanding correctly that we are currently within a duality, and it could be different. It could be different from the moment we realize the true nature of what we are perceiving. This is not just a matter of philosophy or philosophical debate. It is a very day-to-day practice and a very day-to-day result. Because even before we realize emptiness, before we really access a higher perception of our reality, we can change how we react to it based on the correct understanding. So before to realize emptiness, we know about emptiness, we can deepen our understanding of emptiness, and at the same time, by strengthening our awareness through meditation, through mental pacification, we are developing our correct understanding of what we perceive, of why we perceive what we perceive, how it is a complete illusion. And when we understand it is a complete illusion, a complete projection of our own mind, and that everything perceived is of the same nature of our own mind, it has much less impact on ourselves. When we see somebody coming to us and talking badly or acting negatively toward us, if we believe that it has its own inherent existence, then of course we feel threatened. Our ego feels that something from the outside is attacking me, insulting me, disturbing my mind, or having the capability to disturb my mind. Through the practice of meditation, and specifically the meditation on the true nature of phenomena, we learn how to not be disturbed by any phenomena, because whatever phenomena appear outside, coming from outside, it is not true. There is the illusion. We have the illusion that something is coming from the outside and has the power to disturb our mind, but it is not like that. it appears within our own mind on the basis of what that mind has accumulated in the past. So within the cinema of our own mind, we are projecting the movie. And that movie appears to be a reality outside. At the same time, of course, as we always say, it is important to make the difference between the conventional reality and the ultimate understanding about the reality of all phenomena. I mean by that, yes, it is a movie, yes, it is an illusion, yet we are living currently within this conventional reality and we are bound to it. So as long as we are not free of the causality, as long as we are not free of karma, we are bound to the law of causality. I mean by that, if I generate anger towards what I perceive, I create negative causes. I create a negative energy which I will have to experience later on. Thus, I need to be careful. Careful with what my mind is producing, because every and each time I do think on the basis of ignorance, I create. Every thought emitted with the idea that there is duality, or on the basis of duality, is creating a karmic seed. Within this conventional reality, if I realize emptiness and I see through the illusory aspect of everything, I will not create any more causes. But before that, I do. So let's not be fooled by a misunderstanding which would make us to believe that I can act however I like, without respecting any rules, without respecting anyone, anybody, anything, because it would not matter since it is all illusory. This is a not so rare mistaken view, which we should avoid, by keeping in mind that there is conventional reality in which I am bound to causality, and when I enter into meditation, then I can meditate on the ultimate nature of that reality, and along my practice and along the stabilization of my mind, I will develop a certain affinity with emptiness, and later on I will realize emptiness through an object and later on directly. And even though I will need to deepen that understanding or that realization of emptiness. So how to free our minds? I would say, of course, that ultimately it is by realizing emptiness. You realize emptiness, you free your mind from the samsara. Your mind is not completely free yet, but it is free from samsara. You are not bound to the circle of conditioned rebirth, and you do not create any more gross karma. There will be still a way to walk on, to proceed towards complete enlightenment. But it would be already a lot more free. Before that, before to realize emptiness and to reach enlightenment later on, we can come out of the box. We can come out of the box by keeping in mind as much as possible the true nature of reality. We have an understanding. It's not yet emptiness, we have not yet realized emptiness, but it can be a very good understanding of it. through a very good understanding of the true nature of phenomena, we can already look around us and tell ourselves, I am not sure about the true nature of phenomena, but I know that how I am taking now my reality is false. This is not true. When I open my eyes and I look at the plant, at the wall, at the window, I take it spontaneously as self-inherently existing, as outside of me. This is not correct. I see somebody coming to me, whatever the person will tell me, the way I take it spontaneously is not true, is not correct. It is not correct because it is based on ignorance, since I have not yet realized emptiness. This I can tell myself throughout the day. And this, if I can tell myself about it often enough, will somehow help me not to be caught into the illusory nature of phenomena. Not too much, at least. I will still have this spontaneous belief that it is self-inherently existing, but I will create a little step back which will allow me somehow to be less affected by it. So I will be able to look at things having in mind that they are not self-inherently existing, having in mind that usually the way I see things is not correct from the emptiness point of view. And I will remind myself that I should be careful how I react, because if what I see, what I perceive, lacks self-inherent existence, the way I react towards it creates some causes that I will have to experience the results. Well, I hope I am clear enough. We are at the heart of our liberation. This topic is essential to have a good understanding of it. This is the way out, this is the key out of samsara. This is not the only important thing. Surely we need also to accumulate merits, we need also to generate bodhicitta, we need to purify past accumulated causes. All these points are also essential, are also very important. But I have the feeling and the understanding that all the other matters, all the other points are based on the correct understanding of the true nature of reality. If we understand clearly these points, everything else somehow is easier. Easier because we have then less grasping towards this reality. And having less grasping towards this reality, less grasping towards what we perceive, allows us to react in a more positive way, in a more peaceful way. That's already an important step, to stop to create negative causes. Because all the negative causes that I am accumulating constantly are making my mind heavy, in a way, my consciousness heavier, and are acting as a veil to my wisdom. I do not see things clearly because I have a lot of negativity. This negativity do not allow me to realize emptiness. So this is a little circle of things. I need a good understanding But I need also to purify my negative karma. I need also to generate bodhicitta. These 3 points together, these 3 pillars together, are helping my practice and are supporting each other. It will be easier somehow to develop bodhicitta if I have a correct understanding of causality, of what I'm doing, for who I'm doing it, for how long I commit myself to doing it. So to develop bodhicitta, having a good understanding of the reality, and to work on the purification of past accumulated causes, may it be by the practice of Vajrasattva or the prostration to the 35 Buddhas. These are important practice as well. I mean, as much also as the other sadhana you have to do regularly, or that you are doing regularly, because they help you to accumulate merits. Remember that the 2 wings towards complete enlightenment are bodhicitta and merit accumulation. I mean, bodhicitta, merit accumulation through the means of bodhicitta, and the development of wisdom, the development of the correct understanding regarding the true nature of phenomena. It's not one without the other. If we would go solely in the direction of wisdom till we realize bodhicitta, until we realize emptiness without bodhicitta, then we somehow generate the risk to remain in emptiness, to remain in this non-dual state of mind. This is the goal, and this is the achievement of the Harats. So, of course, we can say that this is already a high and great achievement, yet in comparison with the achievement of a bodhisattva, this is still kindergarten. Because the bodhisattva, though having realized emptiness, will climb the 10 bhumis to reach a complete enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. Now, from where we are, in the situation we are nowadays, not yet bodhisattva, not yet having realized emptiness, we need to sharpen our mind. So to meditate often about the true nature of phenomena and to apply it in our daily life. Meditate on Shine, of course, to sharpen the concentration. Then, when you have a pacified mind, you can use that mind on important topics such as the causality and emptiness. And when you have done this, apply it to the daily circumstances. Your daily life is actually the field of practice. Yes, you have the spiritual practice, the sadhana, the mantra recitation and everything. This is good, this is perfect, of course. Yeah. But most of the time you are spending into the daily life. You are spending it in the family, you are spending it at work, with partners, with friends, or not so friends, it depends where you work and what you are doing. But this is where you apply all what you have learned, all what you have developed. If you meditate on bodhicitta, and when you stand up and go to work, or go to your friends, or go to the family, you immediately get irritated and it is unpleasant to see the others and so on. What is the point? If you meditate on emptiness and the first words that you hear, which is unpleasant or which is insult-like, you get annoyed or you get angry, what is the goal of the practice? Yes. Within that daily life, you can find out how much you worked on your mind, how much you understood of the practice, how strong or weak you still are. The daily life is the perfect field of practice. We have so many opportunities to confront our understanding, to confront the result of our sitting practice, in a way. That without it, it would be very difficult to progress. If you can really stand the daily life with a peaceful mind, with compassionate mind, generating kindness whenever people are mean to you, this is a great step in the practice. This is really the way to transform the mind. Vajrayana is the path of transformation. Sometimes we remember about Vajrayana extraordinary things, stories, or we like to talk or to hear about chakras and the energies and people who are able to fly or to move objects and these kind of things. But this is not what directly changes your mind. What changes your mind is your attitude in the daily life. You take your mind as you find it in the morning when you wake up, and you work on it throughout the day, not just when you sit for the meditation, throughout the day. It is throughout all the daily situations and the daily events that you will learn how to free your mind. That you will learn how not to be affected or infected sometimes also by outside phenomena. Last time we were talking about not to be influenced by outside phenomena or outside situations. It is the same. It is the same in the sense that whatever you perceive, you have created a cause to perceive it. It should not have any strong hold on your mind once you understand its true nature. At least understand, yes, as I mentioned earlier, before the realization of it, we need a good understanding of it. And that understanding becomes stronger and stronger the more we think about, the more we refer to it in front of external phenomena or external situations. So, throughout the day, many times, remember about all this. Remember about the true nature of phenomena. Even if you have 1 hour of meditation per day or 2 hours of meditation per day, does not or should not exclude all these little reminders throughout the day. It keeps a certain level of peace in your mind. It keeps a certain level of wisdom in your mind, so that it does not just completely skip your mind and you forget about it. If we forget about these kind of things, then we fall back into the common way to respond to external phenomena. And we get angry, and we get jealous, and we get annoyed by this, and we get annoyed by that. Lacking bodhicitta, lacking the correct perception of phenomena. There are many ways or many tricks you can use also to remind yourself about these important points. When you are at work or when you are at home, you can have little post-its on the door, on the window, in front of the where you wash the dishes, or just before to take the shower, or when you stand up in the morning, that you can look at the little post-it which has one word or one picture reminding you about what you need to think about. You can write the 8 verses of the mind transformations. You can write some quote from Tilopa. You can write some quotes from important lamas and rinpoches of the past and present to remind yourself to keep the mind in this undisturbed or as undisturbed as possible state, as long or as often as possible. Our mind works very much by habit. So the more we have the habit to think about some topics or to think in a certain way, and the more it will become natural. It creates a habit of not becoming angry too quick, because whatever you perceive goes through a certain understanding. And that understanding, you repeat it by having this little step back in front of what you perceive. Yes, to observe the mind, how the mind works, what comes within the mind is very important. You see a situation which would normally start a certain irritation, but since you spotted it, you can laugh about it, you can joke about it, you can say, well, this is another illusion coming, will I let my mind be disturbed by this again or not? And you better choose not, so that the mind stay calm, so that the mind does not create further negativity, further attachment, further grasping. No, the mind will stay in a peaceful state. Once your mind is able to remain in a certain peaceful state, it starts to be more free. The freedom that we can acquire even before to realize emptiness is the pacification of the mind. When the mind stays calm, it does not generate so much negativity. It does not jump up and down. You acquire along your meditation, along your days passed with a correct awareness, you reach a certain serenity, a peace of mind. It is important, whatever you encounter on your daily life, not to jump so quick as usual upon conclusions, projections, expectations. All these are bringing a lot of suffering, a lot of disturbances. If when you look at something, you can simply observe that situation, keeping in mind it is the result of past accumulated causes unfolding before your eyes. Not something so solid, not something so tangible as it appears to be, then the mind is less affected by it. And being less affected by it, you react less. You create less negativity. And by generating less negativity, as your practice goes on, it will be easier to pacify the mind. It will be easier to engage into the right practice at the right moment. We have a mind which buzzes all the time, creates thoughts all the time about everything. We are not happy with what we observe right here and now. We are constantly leaning on the back, on the past, remembering things that annoyed us or still can annoy us now, or projecting how things should be, or what I will say to that person, or what I will not say, and how I should say it, and that person will reply in that way, and that again I will say this and that. So even when we would have the possibility to just be peaceful, the mind escape that silence and enter into the past, enter into the future. It is a pity that the moment which is the most important, the present moment, is the moment in which we are the less often. Of course, we could philosophically discuss about the concept of moment, and we could say that there is no present moment, because as soon as we observe a moment and we say it is the present moment, that moment is gone. Yet, we can mention on the conventional level a present moment, which is just now, whenever this now is progressing. And when we are into the observation of this now, the mind is in peace. This moment of now is the moment during which I'm creating the karmic causes I will have to experience. I don't create karma in the past, I don't create karma in the future. I create karma in the now. I create karma in the present moment. At the very moment I observe something and react to it, I create karma. If you think in the evening about how you reacted at noon and say, I should not have done that, I should have done it in this or that way, it's too late. You have done it. Of course, it's good to have a certain retrospective and help the mind to not repeat such action, not repeat such reaction. But it's done, the karma has been created. It is important to remain aware in the present, so to direct, so to decide which karmic causes I will accumulate. Because as long as I am under the influence of ignorance, I will create karma. Which one? This is my choice. I can be influenced by many things, including things from the past or the far past. But at the moment I react in this or that way, it is my choice. I am responsible of the causes I am accumulating. I am responsible of experiencing their effect later on. If I don't want suffering as a result, I should not create the cause for suffering. If I eliminate the cause for suffering, then I will eliminate the suffering, since everything has its causes. So whatever you are confronted with look at it with peace, look at it with kindness, look at it with a mind as less disturbed as possible. In this way, you will free your mind. In which situation to decide about the direction to take, the words to say, the attitude to have, depends on how you pacify the mind. The freedom of our mind starts by the control of our thoughts. It's a little bit paradoxal. Some people would say that I cannot really be free if I control something. But I am not free either if I cannot control my own mind. So everything starts with a better awareness of how we think, so that our mind does not go wild and create negative causes, sometimes without being able to stop them. Everything starts by a certain control of the mind, to give it the right direction. Once we are used to the right direction, once we have made enough effort so that we do not engage into negativity, so that we engage into the creation of positive causes spontaneously, let's say, then there is no more effort. Then it becomes an attitude. The attitude of being kind, the attitude of not being disturbed by any phenomenon, or any situation, or any people. So as we see, the first step is to come out of the box. The box in which we are since unimaginable time, making us to believe that what surrounds us exists from its own side, exists independently from me. That's the box. You are in a room right now, there is a ceiling, there are walls. You are in a box, and you feel like in a box, because you believe that all what you perceive has its own inherent existence, while it does not have. Your consciousness is spacious. Your consciousness has no inherent limit. The limitation that you have, that you feel within your own life, are coming from you, not from the outside, because the outside exists only interdependently with you. We cannot change always immediately the outer circumstances of our conventional reality, but we can change how we react to it. Whatever situation you observe, either you are disturbed by it or not, is your choice. Sometimes we have the feeling that things from the outside are disturbing us. But the outside phenomena do not have the power to disturb our minds if we do not take that decision. Outer phenomena are appearance of your own mind. shall appearance of your own mind disturb your own mind? No. I know that already a lot of you start to think out of the box. Start to understand that they have been living in a box since so long. A prison for your mind, would say some movies, that we cannot usually feel, smell or touch. But that's a prison for our mind which we have created ourselves, and that we can free ourselves as well. Because the correct understanding of causality is also this. Whatever circumstance we have created to be where we are right now, we have the power to change it. We have the power to modify it. We have the power to transcend it. And not with any external expensive tools or equipment, but with our own mind, with that very consciousness we are carrying already since beginningless time. At the same time, that mind has created all the roots for suffering, and at the same time it holds the key for freedom, the key of liberation, the key of enlightenment. So the right understanding of the law of causality is a message of hope, is a message of truth, is a message of kindness, is a message of bodhicitta. Up to us to understand it, up to us to uncover this truth, or to let our mind to be carried by the daily circumstances and unhappiness of this and unhappiness of that. It's a matter of choice. The whole summer we are complaining about the heat and how we suffer from the heat. The whole winter we are complaining about the cold and how we suffer from the cold. So when it is very hot, we would like to have a little bit more cold. When it is very cold, we would like to have a little bit more hot. So a simple external phenomena as such is disturbing our minds greatly. Or not. It all depends on us. Where we are living, the living conditions we are in, the food we have. Sometimes we cannot change it. But what we can change is how to react to it. You might not be able to change the car you have, but whenever you see your car, the way you see your car and the way you appreciate it depends on you. We have far more power than what we think. As long as we think within the box, we are very limited. We allow our illusory reality to limit us. This is limit masochism. When you start to understand the law of causality correctly and to remember about it, because most of you know quite well about it already, but so many times throughout the day you are not careful enough to remember about it at the right moment, so the mind is disturbed. The more you remember about it, the more you meditate about it, the more you bring a certain stability and peace in your mind, the less disturbance. The less disturbance, the more happiness. And the more strength to go forward into the practice, forward into a higher understanding of our reality. So either you free your mind or you don't, does not depend on any outer phenomena, on any phenomena which would appear as outer. It depends on you. It depends on the choice you make. It depends on the decision you take. Mahayana and Vajrayana is all about the transformation of the mind. You take your mind as it has been existing and functioning since unimaginable time, and you transform it. You take it out of the box, and from the outside of the box you understand that that box is illusory, a prison for the mind. So again, I will repeat that the correct understanding of the law of causality is a tool for freedom. Is that key which can help us to free your mind. So basically, I wish that you remember more often about what you know. You remember more often about the illusory nature of all what you perceive. And that you work a little harder at pacifying the mind. Concentration. Concentration is not tension of the mind, as often it is taken. Concentration is to have a focus. Your mind is focusing on the present moment. And in the present moment, you observe whatever appears with a better understanding of what you are observing, of what you are looking at. Better understanding, referring again to understanding the illusory nature of what you see. That's the way to free our minds. There is no miracle, there is no pill we can buy in the supermarket or in the pharmacy. There is just the way to use our own mind correctly. Somehow, it's a fantastic understanding. I already have all what I need. My mind, my consciousness, my choice. So make a good use of your choices and a good use of your mind. It can sink you or it can free you. This is still your choice. Okay. I think that's quite it for today. Nothing very new, but a reminder, and hopefully a boost in your practice.